extremely hot. It's been absolutely roasting all day, like 35. It's really, really dry. We've been swimming at the lake. It's a beautiful day for doing that, but right now it is so hot still here. It must be at least 28-30 degrees. Inside the cabin it's about 30 degrees, so there's just no way that I'm going to be able to sleep. So I decided to try sleeping on the terrace, and I don't know how it's going to go. I can hear some foxes barking in the woods and a baby lamb that's looking for its mother, and there's a frelon, which is like, it's a hornet basically, what sort of wandering around above my head. But I'd rather be out here than in there, so let's see. My partner's not even attempting to go to sleep. He's sat down near the view, just taking some air. Another day of extreme heat. I think today is the hottest day. We had a whole week last week which was between 35 and 38. That's what they said on the news, but in reality here we were in the early 40s, 40, 41 on my car, even in the shade. We're heading into our second week of it. All the projects and things that I had in mind to do, I just can't bring myself to do any of it. We're really in survival mode. How's it going in the cabin? Well, it's not great, I'll be honest. I'm not quite sure why I thought painting my cabin black was a good idea. I'm not actually sure that's having that much of an impact. We have had to do a few things to adapt to life here when it's so hot. They thought that the heat wave would be finished by now. Every day, any indication that it's going to finish evaporates, literally. I have been sleeping on the terrace at night. I thought it'll be a one-off experience. Just did it for fun one night, and in the end I've been sleeping outside now for nearly a week. Steph has remained sleeping inside, but we have massive windows on the cabin, so I open all the windows from about 7:30 in the evening. The whole place is aired throughout the night, and by the time we go to bed, which is around 12:30 right now because it's just too hot before that, I'm talking about it still being 35, 36 degrees at 10 o'clock at night. It's really, really, really hot. The inside of the cabin is cool enough just. So he sleeps with all the windows open inside. I sleep on the terrace until about 5 when the birds really start going. And then I move inside, at which point inside the cabin is actually quite nice. And I close everything at 5:15 in the morning. And then the chalet stays reasonably comfortable until about 3 in the afternoon. When I say comfortable, I mean it's between 28 and 30 degrees inside, and then it goes up to between 32 and 35 inside the cabin in the afternoon. So, which is completely intolerable, obviously, and is intolerable for our dog. So at that point, I seek refuge elsewhere. Our friends that have got pools have been inviting us in the afternoon. Yeah, it's really hard, actually. Actually, it's not so hard for me. I just really worry about our dog. Tarzan, what is Tarzan doing? He's not crazy. He's being very, very sensible. He's completely inactive between about 8 in the morning and 10 at night. And he is sleeping under the bush that's here. It's a massive clump of bush that's completely covered in shade almost all the day. He doesn't come out at all. And then when he does get up, he goes down to the river. So he's fine. He's coping, but he's very, very inactive. I would also just say that the impact on nature here is pretty horrific. I've been out this morning and I've just put some shallow dishes in various places that are a little bit hidden with a piece of wood or spoon or something so that insects can get in and out. I'm sure there are also mice. I've seen the lizards around here. There's a bowl of water on the terrace that the lizards can get to. Just trying to be thoughtful about what might actually help the nature around the cabin to survive this period. I mean, the grass is absolutely brutally dry. And there's no wind most of the time, and when there is wind, it's just the most horrific dry wind ever. When I first moved here, I had a couple of friends come and say, oh, I would clear a lot of the trees. I would, open the view from the summer kitchen, for example. I'm so grateful that I didn't take any of the trees out. The amount of shade that we have is protecting us to a good extent. And of course, we're in June. We're not even in July. I think this is the thing that is so shocking, is that at this time of year, I have got videos of me building the summer kitchen and it is rain downpours. It's lush green. There's still flowers, there's still life. It's really, really unexpected that we have it this hot for this long at this time of year. I think I might try and get a small aircon unit that can run off our solar panels, draining the battery, but then because we've got sun all day, maybe if we can keep the cabin a bit cooler, that will just make our lives a little bit more acceptable here. We don't really have enough power to have a pool. We could consider getting a small baby pool. My girlfriend got one, very affordable, €80. But actually after a couple of days, temperature of the water is already disgustingly hot, 35 degrees. So it just feels soupy when you get in. I'm not really sure that's the answer. Anyway, that's just to give you a bit of an update. What has it been like living in the cabin during this time? It's not been very pleasant. At the beginning of the heat wave, we had a huge influx of flies. I have screened all of the windows and I've put fly bait and fly traps everywhere, and thankfully that has now taken effect. But it's been an extra unpleasantry. But that is why I've screened everything. You may have noticed on some of the videos I've screened the summer kitchen, all the windows, because it's so unusual that we have that problem, but this year's, changing the ecosystem here, basically. I'm quite surprised, sleeping on the terrace, I would have thought that I would be getting bitten by insects. We really don't have a mosquito problem here. Unfortunately, because of the dryness of the heat, the insect population generally is being obliterated, which is a very negative thing, obviously, for nature. But for sleeping outside, it's been good. My little fish tank is doing well. The water's warm, but it's not gone algae-fied. And the fish are fine. And I'm really pleased that I put it behind this big lilac bush, because it's getting shade for 90% of the day. And I just wanted to add that Tarzan, I mean, I've been really worried about him, but he has numerous places where he can get underneath. He can actually get underneath the cabin here, and he's then underneath an insulated, shaded part. So he has a whole choice of places where he can be to be cool. There's absolutely no point in him coming inside the cabin because it's actually just as hot inside. Okay, it's 3 in the afternoon. By this point in the day, for the last 5-6 days, it's been completely intolerable to be outside. I've come up with a new way of keeping the cabin cool, and that is to shut the internal door, because the bedroom area at the back is probably 5 degrees cooler than the front, so that's really helpful. And I think it's because the back of the cabin is closer to the ground, and of course the front is getting the full sun and it's buffering a bit at the back. So sweating. So that's one thing to bear in mind if you're building a cabin. How do you keep cool when it's absolutely roasting? And having a northern part of the cabin instead of everything south exposed is a better option. Having a back bedroom on the north side is good. To try and help reduce the heat in the front part, I've put the batteries down here. They're in a storage place which is quite a bit cooler than the front of the cabin inside. My little parasol's working well. The plants are getting a good amount of shade. I did think twice about planting them, but I could see that they were struggling because their roots were getting too hot in the plant pots. So I think either way they're going to die. So I just decided this morning to put them in. By this point in the day, it just gets to this really, really quiet phase, which is really unusual for here. There's always birdsong, there's always insects, there's always activity. And by the middle of the afternoon, it is so quiet. Okay, let's move away from the batteries. But it is unbelievably silent. Just the crickets and the crunchy grass. Actually quite a nice evening here tonight. I am just adding a filter to the top of our septic tank vent, which is very easy. It's just this little sort of middle bit that sits on top of the pipe, and then I've added a fly screen just in case, and then that's the ventilation thing that basically draws the air through the pipe up from the septic tank and out. And I've been planning on making this a lot higher, so I've I fitted it to a pipe just to see how it would work. And I want to make the pipe a bit higher, but I don't want to add too much wind resistance. So I'm trying out this filter to see if it works. It's got charcoal, which has got some special product on it that means that it absorbs the smells from the septic tank, which are fairly prevalent, let's be honest. And I also didn't say in my last video that I'm planning on painting this entire grey pipe. I'm planning on painting it black to go with the gutter, which is black. I think it will look smarter. And if I have leftover wood, I might box the whole thing in. But I'm sort of waiting because I'm wondering whether one day soon I might add a water butt. We're not so far from our little garden area where we started growing vegetables and things. So I'm leaving all options open. The field across the way, the combine harvester has started cutting. Oh, it's a little mouse. I've just seen a little mouse. Ah. And right now, because of the heat wave, farmers have been prevented from cutting anything in the afternoon. So between 2 and 8, they're not allowed to cut. So he is likely to be up all night cutting that. A lot of the wheat hasn't really had chance to develop properly. It's got too hot too early. A lot of the grains are coming off the wheat. So this is not a great year for them, and they're all bumbling around in their tractors all the way, picking up their bales of straw and taking food and water to animals everywhere. And you know, in full harvest season, which is too early, we should not be doing this at this point of year. It's just another sign of what's going on. So there's a general feeling of panic amongst people, and because it's going on for so long, like this should. We get this sort of weather in July or August, and it lasts 2 or 3 days, and it's a peak and it's horrid, and then it clears and we have a storm, we move on. And you might get a couple of those during July and August, but we're still in June. It's supposed to be raining, it's not supposed to be this hot. I think I'm going to get up and go to the lake tomorrow and spend the day with Lexi at the lake, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm also really enjoying, oh, the little baby ones are going mad running around. I'm also really enjoying sleeping on the terrace. I have to say, it's lovely. I mean, I'm surprised at how well I've adapted to it, because I'm a bad sleeper. I generally have a hard time if I go to a hotel or I stay with friends, or I'm not in my own bed. I have a hard time sleeping, and I've absolutely loved being on the terrace, really. So I'm looking forward to sleeping outside again tonight, and I'm just trying to enjoy this unique experience and try not to worry too much for the future. Although, you know, it has to be said, what the heck is going on? Wolf and moon is what we've got going on here. Getting up to 2 o'clock. My car is in the shade. It says 42. Okay, we have arrived. I just did a quick sprint down to see if I could find a spot, and I'm surprised there's absolutely nobody. I thought it would be jam-packed. I guess people are so worried about the heat they've stayed home, which is cool for me and Lex. So let's go and get set up. Lex? I love swimming, but I always worry that I'm going to leave Lexi on the beach and that maybe a big dog will come along or something will happen and I won't be able to get back in time. So I'm going to give this a go. Basically, I'm going to float her a little bit out with me. She can swim pretty well, but she doesn't really enjoy it that much, so I'm not going to force. But I'm going to take her out on this and just see if she enjoys it. Well, that was mega lovely. We have to go because it's Baltrad tonight, which is the folk association that I learned accordion with. I think Lexi absolutely loved the floating boat, swimming pool, bed concept, and she looks calm and relaxed, so I'm pretty confident that her body temperature is good. Good morning. I know I probably look quite terrible, but I actually just had another amazing night's sleep on the terrace. And I've been woken by two things. The first is a golden oriole bird, which is a bird that sounds absolutely amazing, and it was in the tree literally right here behind me. My partner also was woken by it and absolutely was like, oh, did you hear that? Yes. We're very excited. This is what it sounds like. It's a very beautiful tropical sounding bird, despite the fact that it's native. And the second thing is that there is a huge thunderstorm gathering just behind me here. So I'm going to have to pack up the bed. We're running around closing things up, and I think that marks the end of the heat wave. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this somewhat enjoyable. Let me know in the comments, have you ever lived through a heat wave? And any tips you've got for me for keeping the cabin cool. Have a great week, and I will see you very soon.